Beneath the monuments and marble facades of the nation's capital lies a hidden city most will never see. 17 places in and around Washington, D.C. remain completely off limits, from Cold War bunkers buried inside mountains to sealed vaults, classified tunnels, and rooms that appear on no official map. Some exist to preserve history. Others exist to ensure the government survives the unthinkable. Each is restricted for a different reason, and together they reveal a capital defined as much by what it conceals as what it displays. We begin with the most forbidden sight of all. Number 1. Mount Weather. Emergency Operations Center sits deep in the Blue Ridge Mountains, just beyond the reach of the capital's daily rhythms. Its presence is marked above ground by a cluster of nondescript buildings, but the true scale lies hidden beneath, an underground labyrinth that stretches across nearly 700,000 square feet. This facility is the core of FEMA's Continuity of Government Plan, designed to shelter America's top civilian leaders if catastrophe strikes Washington. Behind steel blast doors, Mount Weather houses command centers, hardened communications arrays, and self-sustaining life support systems. Power, water, food, and air are all generated and filtered inside, allowing the site to operate in total isolation for weeks. Access is limited to a rotating staff of 75 to 100 officials, each cleared at the highest levels. The site's location, buried in solid granite, offers protection from nuclear, biological, and chemical threats. Its role is not just to survive disaster, but to ensure the machinery of government continues when the outside world falls silent. For decades, Mount Weather has remained one of the most closely guarded secrets in federal infrastructure, a fortress whose vault doors symbolize the ultimate boundary between public knowledge and national survival. In second place, the Raven Rock Mountain Complex sits buried beneath the ridgeline near Blue Ridge Summit, Pennsylvania. Its massive blast doors mark the threshold to one of the most secretive military installations in the United States. Known as the Underground Pentagon, this facility was carved out of greenstone granite in the early 1950s to serve as the Department of Defense's hardened command and control center. 5 reinforced portals seal off a labyrinth of chambers, each designed to withstand a direct nuclear strike. Inside, the alternate Joint Communications Center forms the nerve center for Joint Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine operations, with entire command floors dedicated to maintaining uninterrupted military command if the Pentagon above ground is lost. Redundant global communications arrays bristle from the surface, feeding secure data and voice links through the complex, thick walls. Oversight falls to the United States Army garrison, which manages both the day-to-day operations and the facility's readiness for rapid activation. One of the site's most persistent legends is a 6.5-mile tunnel said to connect Raven Rock directly to Camp David, a claim that persists in oral histories but remains officially unverified. The complex role as a military counterpart to Mount Weather forms a dual pillar system of government continuity, one pillar for civilian leadership and one for military command. This structure ensures that national defense endures even when the capital is under threat. Third on our list, the President's Emergency Operations Center, PEOC, sits buried beneath the east wing of the White House, closer to the seat of executive power than any other continuity bunker. Conceived in the shadow of World War II air raids, this concrete-encased suite offers a last line of shelter for the president and a small circle of top advisors, no more than 20 at a time. The space is controlled by the White House Military Office and sealed behind blast-resistant doors, with biometric locks and layers of Secret Service checkpoints. Inside, the bunker feels almost submarine tight, with low ceilings, windowless walls, and a hum of filtered air. Independent generators and EMP shielded wiring keep the lights on and communications flowing, even if the world above is cut off. Secure lines run directly to the National Military Command Center and the Pentagon, making it possible to coordinate a national response in minutes. The PEOC has been activated in moments of crisis, from September 11th to the protests of 2020, always serving as the nerve center when the White House itself is under threat. Unlike the sprawling mountain complexes designed for weeks of isolation, this is a place built for immediate survival and rapid decision-making, just steps from the Oval Office, yet utterly out of reach. Number 4. Sir The White House Situation Room operates as the executive branch's nerve center for real-time intelligence and crisis management. Tucked beneath the West Wing, this secure suite is staffed around the clock by members of the National Security Council, who monitor global events and feed live updates directly to the president and senior advisors. Unlike the bunkers designed for physical protection, the Situation Room is built for decision-making under pressure, with banks of multi-screen displays pulling secure data streams from the CIA, the Department of Defense, and the State Department. Video teleconferencing links connect the White House to military commanders, diplomats, and foreign leaders within seconds. Access is tightly controlled. Entry requires the highest security clearance, and even senior staff must leave phones and personal devices outside. The space is infamous for its strict protocols. Every briefing, every message, every movement is logged and monitored. While most of its operations remain classified, the Situation Room briefly entered public view during the 2011 raid on Osama bin Laden, when a single photograph captured the intensity of a president and his team watching events unfold in real time. Its role bridges the gap between secure shelter and swift action, anchoring the executive's ability to govern in moments when information and timing are everything. Number 5. Beneath the White House grounds, a concealed network of tunnels forms the circulatory system of executive power. These corridors, some dating back to the 1940s, link the West Wing, East Wing, and the Treasury, threading through layers of reinforced concrete and steel. Far from tourist routes or ceremonial spaces, these passageways are strictly controlled by the Secret Service and the White House Military Office. Their primary function is operational, enabling secure, protected movement for staff and senior officials, especially during emergencies when surface routes could be compromised. Along these dimly lit tunnels, badge-controlled checkpoints guard access, while maintenance hatches reveal the hidden infrastructure that keeps the White House running, including power lines, HVAC ducts, and secure data cables packed into narrow conduits. The most direct route, the East Wing to the Treasury Tunnel, stretches over 700 feet, originally built as an escape path for the president in times of crisis. Routine inspections and classified protocols keep the system in constant readiness, but only a handful of authorized personnel are ever permitted inside. This underground network remains invisible to the public eye, serving as the logistical backbone that supports both daily operations and the highest stakes decisions made just overhead. Number 6. The Capitol subway system operates out of sight beneath the nation's legislative heart. This network of electric trains links the Capitol chambers with office buildings across the complex, moving members of Congress, staff, and secure documents through badge-controlled stations. Access is tightly restricted. Public tours never reach these platforms, and only those with proper credentials can ride. 3 lines run separately for the House and Senate, with vehicles arriving every few minutes when Congress is in session. More than a convenience, the subway doubles as a rapid emergency exit, ensuring lawmakers can evacuate or regroup without stepping into public view. Its existence reveals just how much of the Capitol's daily function depends on hidden, members-only infrastructure. Number 7. Inside the Capitol dome, a world exists above the rotunda that few will ever glimpse. Hidden behind the cast-iron ribs designed by Thomas Eustace Walter in the 1850s, narrow spiral staircases wind upward to maintenance walkways and the lantern level, where fragile catwalks circle the oculus high above the chamber floor. Access is tightly controlled by the architect of the Capitol, who enforces strict protocols to protect both workers and the historic structure. Only harnessed specialists are permitted to cross these slender bridges, anchoring themselves to limited safety points as they inspect the dome's ironwork. Preservation, not secrecy, drives the restrictions here. Original Smithsonian drawings and maintenance records reveal just how vulnerable this space remains to vibration, weather, and even the pressure of footsteps. The Capitol dome stands as a monument to American engineering, but its most delicate heights are reserved for those entrusted with its care. Number 8, the Treasury Department vaults stand as the silent guardians of America's financial backbone. Deep within the South Wing, behind multi-ton steel doors, these reinforced chambers store currency reserves, government bonds, and irreplaceable artifacts. The main vault, completed in 1905, features dual combination locks and climate controls designed to outlast fire, flood, or sabotage. Uniformed guards monitor the corridors around the clock, while wrought iron structural wings reinforce every approach. Entry is limited to a handful of authorized officials, each movement logged and scrutinized. Here, the line between heritage preservation and fiscal security blurs. These vaults aren't just about safeguarding wealth, and they are about protecting the nation's most tangible symbols of trust and stability. Number 9. The McMillan Sand Filtration Site sprawls across 20 acres just north of the Capitol, its surface a patchwork of grass and rusting fence lines. Beneath lies a forgotten labyrinth, vaulted concrete cells built in the early 1900s to purify the city's water through slow sand filtration. Once a marvel of public engineering, the site now stands sealed off, its catacombs empty and silent. Safety concerns run deep. Asbestos insulation, lead remnants, and the risk of collapse keep the gates locked, while redevelopment plans spark debate between preservationists and city officials. Atlas Obscura credits McMillan as a hidden relic of DC's infrastructure, its secrets protected as much by contamination as by policy. In the 10th place, the very tip of the Washington Monument remains off-limits, perched 555 feet above the city. Beyond the public observation deck, a cramped maintenance chamber encases the aluminum capstone, and a grid of lightning rods features critical to the monument's preservation, but invisible to visitors. Only National Park Service specialists are allowed up here, climbing an 8-story iron staircase and a final ladder to reach a space barely large enough for 2 workers. Since the 2011 earthquake, the summit tip has been sealed to all but essential personnel, its delicate structure and narrow access routes considered too hazardous for public entry. Atlas Obscura highlights this hidden apex as a symbol of both national pride and the strict boundaries set for safety and stewardship. Number 11. The International Temple of the Order of the Eastern Star stands just north of Scott Circle, its limestone facade guarding a world that few outsiders ever glimpse. Built in 1936, this private temple serves as the global headquarters for a Masonic-affiliated order, with ritual spaces and star-shaped motifs woven into its Art Deco interiors. The soaring Great Hall, reminiscent of a grand ballroom, hosts ceremonies reserved for members only. Outsiders are rarely permitted beyond the lobby, and public tours are offered strictly by appointment. Atlas Obscura notes the building's reputation for secrecy, with entire wings off-limits even during rare open houses. Here, architectural grandeur meets deliberate exclusion, a reminder that not all of Washington's hidden spaces are governmental. Some are shielded by tradition and private ritual. Number 12. Deep within the National Archives, a fortified vault preserves the nation's most fragile treasures: the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. These founding documents rest in climate-controlled chambers, sealed within argon-filled cases to prevent decay. The vault's doors weigh 30 tons, designed to shield against fire, flood, and theft. Each night, a hydraulic lift lowers the Charters of Freedom into the secure sanctuary, out of reach even for most staff. Access is limited to credentialed researchers under strict archivist protocols, with every handling logged and regulated. Atlas Obscura notes that the balance here is delicate, between ultimate security and preservation and the loss of public touch. The vault stands as a silent guardian, ensuring that history endures, even if only a select few ever come close. Number 13. The Blue Plains Tunnel runs deep beneath the Potomac, inaccessible to all but a handful of authorized engineers. This colossal wastewater conduit stretches 23 feet in diameter and sits 160 feet below the riverbed, channeling up to 225 million gallons of combined sewage and stormwater each day. Built using pressurized tunneling methods, the space is constantly monitored for toxic gases and oxygen deprivation, with entry requiring confined space permits and strict adherence to OSHA safety protocols. Atlas Obscura highlights the tunnel's scale and danger. One misstep in this pressurized industrial labyrinth could prove fatal. Here, public health depends on unseen infrastructure, sealed off for life safety and contamination risks that keep the public permanently at bay. Number 14, high above the marble columns and hushed deliberations, the Supreme Court's 5th floor hides a staff-only basketball court known as the highest court in the land, a playful secret tucked inside one of the country's most solemn institutions. The hardwood was laid in the 1940s, originally as a storage space, then transformed into a full court where law clerks and off-duty staff could shoot hoops. Entry is strictly limited. The public never sees this space. Even staff must follow a dress code with no games during court sessions, and a sign warns, "Don't dunk on the chief." Atlas Obscura credits the court's quirky nickname and its role as a behind-the-scenes perk, reminding us that not every restricted space in Washington is about security. Sometimes it is just about keeping the game out of sight. Number 15. The Capitol Tile Room lies hidden within the labyrinth of the United States Capitol, sealed off behind glass doors and layers of conservation protocol. This chamber is lined with rare 19th century encaustic tiles, each hand-laid in intricate patterns that once reflected the ambitions of a growing nation. The room's microclimate is carefully monitored by the architect of the Capitol, who oversees every detail to protect these fragile mosaics from vibration, moisture, and even the faintest dust. Foot traffic is strictly limited, preservation comes first, and only a handful of specialists are ever allowed inside. Atlas Obscura notes that the delicate artistry and historical value of the tile room demand a level of care that makes public access impossible. Here, the boundaries are drawn not by security, but by the need to safeguard irreplaceable craftsmanship for generations yet to come. Number 16. The Memorial Bridge. Drawbridge Control Room stands as one of the Capitol's most tightly restricted operational spaces. Tucked inside the iconic span over the Potomac, this operator's cabin is off limits to everyone except a handful of National Park Service engineers. Their work is precise and high stakes. Every bridge lift must coordinate with real-time river traffic, requiring constant surveillance through closed-circuit television feeds and direct radio contact with barge pilots. Access is governed by Department of Transportation safety manuals, with operators trained to manage the bridge's hydraulic machinery and redundant braking systems. Even a minor error could disrupt navigation or threaten public safety, so the room remains sealed behind locked doors, its controls guarded as critical infrastructure. Atlas Obscura lists the control room among DC's most hidden sites, a reminder that the city's daily rhythms depend on unseen vigilance and absolute operational discipline. Number 17. The Georgetown University maintenance tunnels snake beneath the historic campus, fueling decades of student rumors and late-night dares. These brick-lined corridors date back to the 19th century, originally built to carry steam, water, and electrical lines between academic halls. Temperatures inside can soar past 130 degrees Fahrenheit, with live steam pipes hissing just inches from the narrow walkways. Asbestos warnings and strict liability rules prompted the university to crack down on trespassing, sealing most entrances with card access hatches and posting hefty fines for unauthorized entry. Campus facilities memos cite not only the risk of burns and toxic exposure, but also the danger of sudden flooding or collapse in these aging passageways. While the tunnels may lack the global stakes of a government bunker, their secrecy brings the theme of restriction down to an everyday scale, reminding us that even in the heart of academia, some boundaries are drawn for safety, not just for secrecy. Atlas Obscura credits these tunnels as one of Washington, D.C.'s hidden layers, but curiosity here comes at real risk. Trespass is not just discouraged, it is enforced. Across all 17 forbidden sites, one pattern stands out. True power and vulnerability live behind locked doors and beneath the surface. These hidden chambers, bunkers, and vaults aren't just relics. They are the pulse points of a city built on secrecy and control. In Washington, what remains unseen is often what matters most. The Capitol's real story is written underground. What would you want to see behind those closed doors?